Hello, welcome to my channel if you're new, welcome back if you're a subscriber. First of all, I have to say I apologize for the audacity that I have to show up during the start of spooky season looking extremely summery with my little new hairstyle that I'm trying, which kind of made me nervous that I look like Pooh Bear. Don't really know where that fear came from, but I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, do I look like Pooh Bear? So anyway, so I was like, I'm gonna put like little, these little clippy things in. And then I realized I look summery. So then I had to change my shirt that was very fall, very horror, and make it look summery. So the audacity I have right now, I apologize for. But besides that, I have Ghosty behind me. I am so excited. It is officially spooky season, and I am coming in with some recommendations for you. I am going to be doing more thriller recommendation videos by trope. I already have one out, which is revenge thriller, which I will put up in the cards for you. It is recommending thrillers that give me vigilante shit vibes by Taylor Swift, because that song is top tier and those books are top tier. So I highly recommend checking that one out. But the tropes we're doing today are for spooky season. And so I wanted to recommend thrillers that are perfect for this time of year that have spooky elements. Most of these have like paranormal or supernatural elements, either wondering, is it actually paranormal, is it not? And all of those fun kind of haunted house tropes, but these books are still all definitely thrillers. So without further ado, let's get into the video, and I hope you guys find some great recommendations. Also, this video would be perfect for you if you're someone who doesn't really want full-blown horror during the spooky season, but kind of wants to dip their toes into a little bit of creepier books to fit the fall mood. So I have a stack of books here, which I will hold up. And then I also have some recommendations that I actually haven't read. So I'll tell you about those as well. And actually the first book that we're gonna talk about, I don't own physically, but it is the newest release on this list. And it is Burn the Negative by Josh Winning. So this one is perfect for spooky season because it is a cursed film thriller, but it's still mostly a thriller just with some horror elements. So this is about a journalist, and she's visiting the set of a reboot from a film that was made in the 90s that became a cult classic. It became a cult classic because so many of the cast and crew members actually died after the movie. And this journalist is actually the child star from the original movie, but she has changed her identity so nobody knows that. And she changed her identity because obviously she was traumatized because everyone died around her, and the press was just giving her so much attention, and it just wasn't safe for her. So she accidentally accepts this journalist job. She doesn't know until she gets there like what she's actually stepping into, and bad things start to happen again. So this is perfect if you like cursed film stories, kind of like The Ring, or also Scream 3. It reminded me a lot about that because in that movie, it takes place on a movie set, and there's a movie being made about the real events that Sidney Prescott went through. Also, this book is perfect for the fall because the movie's obviously a horror movie, and the little girl the main character played was this creepy little girl who told people how the villain called the Needle Man would kill them and how they would die. So I absolutely love that. I thought the Needle Man description was really creepy. He has like needles as fingers, which I don't like that. It's gross. And there were some really creepy scenes in this, and I just thought it was a really cinematic read. So I would highly recommend this one. All right, the next book I actually have, and it is The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. And out of all the books on this list, I feel like this one would be the best if you're a little bit nervous about scarier books, because it does have supernatural elements. There are ghosts, but this one reads more like a mystery, and it also has some historical fiction elements. So I feel like if you want to branch into this genre, this would be a really good start. And so this one actually is about another journalist, which is funny. The last one was too. And she's going and revisiting the events that happened around her sister's death. And so 20 years ago, her sister's body was found in a field near Idlewood Hall. And now in the present day, this hall is being restored. And it used to be a boarding school for troubled girls. Back in the 50s, it looks like. And so Fiona's writing a story about this, but then she finds a link that connects secrets from the past to her sister's death. And this is where the paranormal element comes in. So the boarding school was rumored to be haunted. So you're getting flashbacks in the past to those girls at the boarding school and their experiences with paranormal activity. And actually one of them mysteriously disappears as well. So this one I personally didn't like as much because mysteries that are lower stakes just usually aren't my thing, and also historical elements aren't always that exciting to me, but I know that this is a book that a lot of people love, and so don't take my word for that. I think you should definitely still try it, especially like I said before, if you don't want something super scary, but you still want to read about ghosts. All right, so if you're looking for a book that has a sinister, creepy atmosphere that takes place in the middle of the woods, it's super isolated, Runtime by Catherine Ryan Howard is for you. And it's funny because this is also about a movie set. So this one follows an actress and she's, struggling. She's not getting the gigs she wants, and she actually gets approached for a role because the actress in this movie ended up dropping out of the film. And this film's a horror movie, and it's being filmed in these isolated woods out in a cabin. And she immediately accepts the offer because she thinks it's gonna be her big break, but that's not very smart. Why would you do that? Anyway, the character does that, and she goes there and something feels very, very off as she begins to film. This one also is unique because it alternates between a movie script and then also what's happening in the present. I will say this one's slightly meta, so if that kind of thing bothers you, I would skip on this one. Actually, Burn the Negative is kind of meta as well, but I think this one, it was creepier overall than Burn the Negative. There were some really, really creepy atmospheric scenes in a forest, and the isolation in it just kind of borders on horror. I really, really enjoyed the creepy atmosphere. And I thought it was really mysterious and ominous, and like I said, perfect for this fall season. Okay, I'm sure everybody saw this coming because I literally have a problem. I cannot skip recommending this book in recommendation videos for thrillers because it's so good. It's so good. I still think about this book to this day, and I read it like 2 years ago, and it is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I love this book so much. I love it. If you've watched The Haunting of Hill House, I think you'll like this one. There's a lot of similarities, and this one is definitely a thriller that has horror elements. It has some is it paranormal, is it not elements, so it fits perfectly into these recommendations. So this is about the main character, and she's inherited this house from her father who recently passed away. And the house was actually a famous house that her family fled from in the middle of the night when she was a child. And her father wrote a book about it, talked about all the paranormal things that were happening in the house. And this is really fun because you actually get chapters from the book alternating between the present day. So it's almost like 2 books in one. I loved that format. It was so good. And the main character, she's a skeptic, right? So she doesn't think anything paranormal happened. She has sort of resentment to her father because she thinks she's just been exploited for a story. And she goes and she's trying to fix it up to sell it, but then starts experiencing things that make her wonder if what her father wrote in the book actually happened there. All right, so the next book I want to talk about is The Turn of the Key, and it's funny because I just talked about The Haunting of Hill House. This one is a lot like The Haunting of Bly Manor, which was directed by Mike Flanagan. They both were, and they're on Netflix and have a lot of similar actors in them. And it reminds me of it because they're both based on The Turn of the Screw. They're just kind of retellings, so they have a lot of similar elements. But this one is about a nanny, and she accepts a job to work for this really rich family. And they live in a Gothic-styled mansion, but when you get inside, it has all this smart home technology. So almost everything is smart. So it's like the Alexa, but times 10. And this one's actually formatted as a letter, and it's from the main character writing from prison to her lawyer explaining the events that happened when she was nannying. So basically she goes to nanny, and a bunch of nannies in the past have left. It's rumored that the house is haunted. The kids are really creepy. It has that horror element in it with creepy kids. I love that trope so much. And weird things start happening in the house, and she can't tell if it's something sinister or if it's just smart devices acting up. But it's really thoroughly creeping her out. This one still reads a little bit more like a mystery. I feel like Ruth Ware books sort of are more mysteries than thrillers, but I would recommend this one during the spooky season, especially because it has that creepy gothic horror-y vibe with still primarily being a thriller. All right, so staying kind of along the lines of cool formatting, the next book I'm going to talk about is Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. This one has a very cool element to it where you actually see drawings throughout from the little kid in this one. So as you can see, they start out kind of like this, and they increasingly grow more sinister. This, for example. So I love the creepy kids drawing trope. Again, creepy kids, we love them. We love to read about them. We don't love them in real life, but we love to read about them. I swear, The horror always happens to the nannies. Like, these poor people, they're just trying to make money and they go to these houses and it's just a perfect setup. And I love when these things go wrong for these nannies. Not in real life. I do not want nannies out there to get hurt. I want them to only fictionally have problems in books. This particular nanny just got out of rehab and she's going to nanny for these really rich people. She has a cool cabin in the back. She has her own space. She can actually live in it. And it's right up against the woods, which is such a creepy atmosphere. And so the little kid loves to draw. He draws all the time and they quickly bond, but she starts to notice his drawings getting more and more sinister throughout the book and has to figure out if something else is going on. Now, disclaimer, I will say I thought this was going to be like one of my favorite books of all time. However, I really did not like the ending. Absolutely did not like the ending. I think this one is worth a try for you though, because the majority of the book is so good. All right, Behind Her Eyes is the next book I want to share with you all. And this is by Sarah Pinborough. It's a thriller with supernatural elements. And this one is so divisive. You'll either probably love it or hate it. I mostly love it, which is funny. I'm not like obsessed with this book, but I also really enjoyed my time with it. And the multiple plot twists in here did really surprise me. I don't think anyone could predict them because they are sort of off the rails. But this one is about a woman who is a single mother and she goes to a bar and meets this guy. They're really into each other. They kiss, whatever. She goes home. So she wakes up, she goes into work the next day. She walks in, ready to have a great day. And her boss is that man. And not only that, she figures out that he's married. So she's like, awesome, this is so great. So she has to act like everything's normal. And she actually runs into that man's wife and they sort of strike up a friendship. And so that's just a very awkward situation, obviously. So she ends up befriending the wife. And it seems like the wife is kind of scared of this guy. And so she decides she sort of wants to help the wife. So this one has supernatural elements. It's funny by the description, you wouldn't really guess that, but I promise it's in here. And I think this would be a really good book if you want a shocking plot twist that you probably could never predict. All right, we are going to end the video with another book that I can just never help myself. I physically cannot stop myself from recommending this book to you guys. And it is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This book, it's so good. Like I said, Lock Every Door and Home Before Dark are top tier books that I am just waiting to feel that high again from Riley Sager. I haven't since, and I am waiting for it. This book is about a woman and she is really down on her luck. She recently broke up with her boyfriend and so she's homeless. She doesn't have anywhere to stay, but she finds a job offer for an apartment sitting job in this really prestigious, rich, Gothic building called the Bartholomew. And so she goes there and she immediately accepts the job offer, kind of ignores the shadiness of it. In the job offer, it literally says like, no one can be over, no one can know where you live, all of that stuff. Like if I got that job offer, I would immediately turn around and walk out. That is so suspicious. She accepts it and she sort of befriends this other girl, but then that girl disappears. And so she tries to figure out what's going on, where this girl has gone. And also it seems like there's a history of house sitters actually disappearing. This one throughout has a really creepy atmosphere. You're wondering if there's some paranormal stuff going on in the building. There's one scene in here that has stuck with me for years. It takes place in a dumbwaiter and it is just so it's so good. I don't want to give it away, but I love that scene so much. And again, it's perfect for this time of year. So those are my recommendations. I hope you like this series. I'm definitely continuing it. And let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books or what you're the most excited to try out from this video. And I will talk to you all very soon. Bye.